Yeah, no, it's true. Too many people just feel like they have to get right on somebody and get in their personal space and get up in their business. And to be quite honest with you, oftentimes if you stand back a little bit, let them get in their comfort zone and watch them, watch the quality of their movement, the choices they make with what kind of interactions they choose to explore, how they explore, you can learn a lot more in that primary piece.
Well, like a year ago, he didn't play with toys at all. He just moved. You didn't really feel like, I wasn't sure if he heard me if I said his name. Where now, he will play with toys appropriately. And it gets excited if you sit down to do something with him. He loves being in the sandbox. Follow one-step directions. So like, where's Daddy? Where's Thomas? Go put this in the trash can.
Yeah.
That one bugged you because it had some hook to it. Remember?
So, given obviously, you seem very articulate in a lot of ways. So, and also because we have parents when they're here for just a snippet, we really try and satiate some of their cravings for knowledge while they're here. We try to do so without getting too dissociative and too generalized, so that it doesn't make much sense.
Right.
So I will comment on some things, but not other things, just to kind of give you some snippets to hold on to.
Well, and I'm videoing because then I can go home and like really listen and watch and write some things down.
This won't be the last, like I always said, this won't be the last discussion. There's like my famous last words.
Yeah,
I'm not somebody who's just like, bye.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Certainly, I'm always available via email and everything else. Is that how he used to move before he walked? What was his primary modality of movement?
Call.
Normal reciprocal call?
Yes. He called it 13 months. He moves like this a lot. Like
the scooching?
Like the sand at the park and the playground. Like this square sandbox. And he'll move on his bottom all around and put the train around the side.
Okay. And then
he's just started, like some things they worked on in his behavior, like being on his knees. And he's so much more naturally like to play at the coffee table and he'll be on his knees.
I very much, and we on the evaluation sometimes focus more on the politics, so
I'm just glad to.
I'm very excited now. I'm very excited to see how there's certain developmental transitions that he's moving in and out of very successfully and very fluidly. Interestingly enough, though, on the vice and the versa of that argument, it's also interesting to me to see when he's in what appears to be a fairly, solid standing state, even though it's a much wider base state. His legs are very wide.
Oh, look at my stinky toes.
That playing with toys that I sometimes see coming in and out of that, and a taxic quality to his motion, where there is a bit of a shakiness, a bit of a tremoriness to his movement. So that's kind of interesting. It's a neurological soft sign of sorts, but not something that we typically see.
Well, one thing he'll do that I've noticed, and I told my speech therapist, because she was like, you need to mention it, and then I just hadn't been back, but when he wakes up in the morning and he gets in the car, he'll almost roll his eyes back in his head. Like, and my oldest son had febrile seizures, but it does happen. It's happened enough that it's not random. Like he'll just kind of, it's almost like you would yawn. That's why he does it.
Yep. Sometimes when we are very low arousal, we'll do things to kind of wake ourselves up. And some of them can look kind of odd. It's straight, like just not.
And it is like when he's just waking up and gets in the car seat.
So typically sometimes kids will do that. Sometimes they'll make funny facial gestures or stiffen their jaw or stiffen one of their body parts or do a little shake or a little, like a little shiver or things like that. And so it could be part of something like that. I would be watching not only how frequently it's happening, because obviously we care about that, but I would also be more likely to look to see whether he's excited, tired,
It's tired.
and that might give you more indication.
Right.
That would sound more like kind of a we don't have a clinical term for this, but kind of when you're just trying to give your body a little cow prod.
Right.
Sometimes we'll
Like
just
a
do
yawn
something
to get more
to kind
oxygen.
of get moving. Exactly. It's just kind of an overflow behavior. They're not really called anything specific, but that sounds more like what it is.
Okay.
If they become more pervasive, they're happening more and more often, with more frequency, more intensity. If it takes them away from an activity, if he's stopping a preferred activity to do it, then they become more concerned that it's something else that's more systematic, something else that might be physical or mental.
And so he goes to this nanny share 2 days a week, and the little girl is about a year younger, or maybe 8 months younger. And I mean, he gets there and she's, excited every day. She's so excited to see him. And now if he sees her somewhere, he will run up to her, but he doesn't have his play with his peers. Now if his siblings play chase, or he gets my husband to play chase, is all come device. I mean, he'll hit Daddy play chase with me. So it's not like he's not interacting in the environment, but his peer group, and I don't know if it's because they're so much further ahead, or one of your questions at the playground, like he wants to swing or be in the sandbox. He doesn't want to be on that big equipment, and he used to like it. Like before he was mobile, before he walked, I mean, he did gravitate towards that. Where now I've noticed he doesn't. It's hard to know, is it because they are moving so far ahead that he's kind of taking himself out of this situation, like he doesn't even try to keep up.
And like I told you, they're also not very respectable in the sense that they don't give you any space if you're getting a little overstimulated, so too much stimulation.
Well, they just ignore him. I mean, not in a mean way, but they go on, like the moms will be like, well, come play with Amos in the sandbox. Yeah. I said, well,
they kind of
go like they wanted to come play with him, but I mean, they're 2 and want to climb the ladder and go down the slide.
Whereas an adult, though, might notice if you're struggling with something or you need difficulty helping words to your...
Yes, like those mothers come and talk to me while I'm swinging, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
no, I like, this is what I, and so again, what I like versus what I, what I like versus what I like less, let's say. I like very much how much he's utilizing, his midline as a compass point. Okay, so all this kneeling work that you've been doing and all this, developmental transition work, stand to sit, play and stoop, all those kinds of things that the physical therapist is really working on is definitely a wonderful way to establish midline and establish that calibration point. What I don't see that, what I would like to be seeing, is a better use of that midline more dynamically. So what I see is in certain positions, a fairly secure little kiddo, you know what I mean, that's got some nice good awareness, can kind of brace himself, alas, with a little bit wider of a support base. Fine, we realize that we have a little bit of postural work to do. But what I don't see as much of what I want to see is that crossing element. Right. Crossing element of the midline. Basically, you establish midline, and then you learn to play at midline and do things independently and do bimanual kind of tests, and then you cross midline in that developmental sequence. Also, it does concern me that everything seems to be very unilateral in its use when it comes to his upper extremities.
And he will cross if you set it up. But not
exactly, not independent. It's not something that's fluidly kind of part of his natural movement patterns. And so that I would love to see more of, basically. And we need that in order to become more coordinated, both with our eyes and body, our eyes and our spatial environment, become more complex with the bilateral integration of our hands and feet, being able to do reciprocal motions very well. So that's just something I'd like to see a lot more of than I'm seeing right now.
And Lori said yesterday when he would go to stand up, he was kind of doing this toddler thing where he would
push up like an old man.
Push up, right, instead of
like this?
Yes, which I hadn't even noticed, but that is what he does instead of just kind of, because they'll say at therapy, like, well, he doesn't want to jump. And I had said, I don't think we should work on jumping. Like, he's not even there to jump. Like, he moves his body up.
But I would be working on jumping.
Like,
I'm not saying that about
No, but I mean,
jumping is a 24-month skill, so I certainly respect where
but he's
coming
far from jumping.
But the matter of fact is, you want to look at, just like I told you, too many people jump to, here, do this, here, do this, here, do this, here, do this, and they jump to the skill or the resultant factor. I look at what plays into jumping, what plays into
what
jumping.
What you need to do to be able to jump naturally.
If you're walking out here,
right,
then you haven't even narrowed your gait enough yet to walk anywhere closer together. So toddler gaits are high guard with their hands up, early walkers and early toddlers.
And are his hands still up?
They are, but not all the time.
Okay. They used to be really up.
It depends on, I think what plays into it is how fast he's moving, and when he's like trying to step over or down.
And on the sand, I noticed this weekend he was much more up.
So I think navigating, you know what I mean? Like I said, different surfaces and possibly surfaces slightly up or slightly down, or something that's got different colors where he's trying to kind of take in the visual at the same time. I think he goes back to this as a safety precaution.
Right.
You know, like my eyes are not totally where they belong, so therefore I'll put these up almost like the trapeze artist would have like a bar to widen their base of security, because when your arms are here and your legs are close and like that, this is your basic support, this is your midline. It's very narrow. If you then bring your legs out, it becomes easier to balance. If you then bring your hands out, look how much wider my base continues to get. So this is part of a mechanism of that, and part of a mechanism of keeping the top part of his body still. Because when children lift their arms up, they essentially retract their shoulders and their arms, which makes this whole shoulder joint that's very loosey-goosey kind of attached to the back of your lower back.
Okay.
And so then the top half's not moving as much, so the bottom half can move more.
Which is how
so
it
see,
works.
then we can focus on just the mobility from here down and not worry about having to control this crazy bunch of arms and stuff. So I see it from time, it's not all the time, but it's still not integrated. We would expect. And how many months is he exactly? What's his birthday?
November 9th.
November 9th.
So June, July, August, September, October. So he's, what's that?
He's 18 months. I mean,
20.
2.5.
No, he's more than 2.5. He's 30 months.
I'm sorry, I'll let you do that.
December, January, February, March.
So when we're looking at these kind of patterns, arm high guards, arm ups, wider base support, we see that in newer walkers, which are typically, 18 months, let's say. So 18 months up until about 24, maybe 26. But after that point, at the very least, one of the two will kind of start to fade away more. So, and to see both of them still present, both the very wide base gait as well as some high arm guarding, I would kind of expect one of those would have fallen away a little more significantly, especially at this point.
Yeah, well, I noticed it when he first started walking, and this was the question, because he had just started walking while he's a new walker. But then as time's gone on, he doesn't really move any differently than he did at 24 months.
Yeah, and so going back to the jumping, so clearly, we have a lot more, I look at skills, not necessarily that I age kids entirely across the board, but when I look at him, and if you don't tell me his birthday and I look at the quality of his gait, I think of some kid that is about 23.
Right. Me too. Not quite an 18-month-old, but not a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing he does better that my husband and I remarked on, so he still falls a good bit, but he now falls at least over something you can see, like it might be a rug, where before he just fell, and in the last 2 months, his hands come out.
Oh, wonderful.
He would fall, and his hands never...
And that sort of went 2 months? How many months ago was that?
It's been about 2 months that his hands come out. So now if he falls, he still will run into things like he doesn't see them sometimes, like the edge of a table he'll just walk into. But the last few times I've seen him really fall, his hands, where last summer if he fell, it was like, he would just fall and hit his face. Yeah. His brain